rock and roll.
Congratulations on the movie. It's fantastic. I loved it to bits. I was just speaking to Max now. It's great. Great throwback to 80s action movies. I loved it.
Thank you so much.
So I mean, I was reading the press notes, and it's something that you said that you wanted to create a great heist movie, but you wanted to make it something different that wasn't something we've seen before, which you achieve ultimately. It's fantastic. Can you tell me a little bit about what you specifically aimed for to make sure that this really crowded subgenre, that this film stood out in that particularly crowded subgenre?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I really wanted to focus. I kind of wanted to get the heist out of the way because so many of these films are all about the setup, and they end up with the heist like in the second act, well into second act. And I really wanted, the heist is great for me. I mean, it's my guilty pleasure getting to do that stuff. But I think I really wanted to focus on the relationship of these two brothers and Clayne's girlfriend, and really tell the story about people who make really bad decisions and how that affects everyone around them, and as they desperately try to get out of the city. So that was my focus.
And I mean, apart from the actual focus on the heist and the brothers and the kind of the PTSD that they go through and everything that they go through, it really does focus on kind of the culture of the Irish Channel, which was something that I've never really seen in a film of. Why was it specifically about the Irish Channel that you really wanted to kind of focus on, but not just kind of set it there, but to really kind of fill it with a lot of content of the culture of that area, no?
Well, I live here. I'm in the Irish Channel right now, so it's home, and I love the city. I love this area, and I think I joke that, like, if I walk the dog, it's like a tour of the channel location. So much of it was filmed here. So I think it's just this is a place. I'm Irish German, and so the Irish, you know how Americans are that are Irish, have any ancestry. So there's so much pride in this neighborhood, in this city, with the Irish community, and it's probably one of the largest communities in the States. And it was a bunch of they came here in the late, let's say 1890 or something, to build the levees and do all the most dangerous, ugly work there was. And at the time, the Irish Channel was a really, really rough neighborhood. And then it kind of, there was kind of a little series of Irish gangs that kind of ran this area. And that ultimately ended up, I'd say in the 20s, 30s, like when Prohibition came around. That's when the Italians pretty much wiped them out as far as their organized Irish clans. And there's just, I mean, anywhere you point a camera here is just, for me, stunning, right? So it was, and I really wanted to focus on something that was not typically seen in New Orleans films. Typically, it's going to be Mardi Gras, the French Quarter, and voodoo, So there's just so much more about this culture. And I actually grew up in London until I was about 12. And so living overseas, and this is one of the oldest places in the country. They're actually, it's not old to you, but buildings that are 1750s and stuff, those are old buildings. You don't have that in the States. Yeah. So I think there's just so many. It's kind of a running joke that everywhere you go, there's a ghost story. There's just so much history here, and it's full of soul, and there's some danger to it, and there's some freaking really interesting people, and such a variety of cultures all kind of come together. Like, this area was not just the Irish and Germans; it was also Sicilians, and it was the African Caribbeans. I mean, it's just such an awesome melting pot,
Yeah.
So
I mean, as like you said, there's a rich history there, but at the same time, there's some beautiful shots there and some beautiful buildings. I mean, even Clayne's house in the film, when he came out of that, I'd never seen that bit of building like that. It's just fantastic. It looked like a miniature bank. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, they call those doubles. So it's a two-side shotguns put together. So a shotgun is just a straight run house, and that, because they had no AC back then, air conditioning. So they would just open up the front door and the back door, and that would create their breezeway.
That's true. Yeah.
So
And what was it like shooting in there? Did you have a lot of problems to shoot there, or was it pretty easy to shoot? I mean, obviously, there's some action scenes must be really difficult to shoot there. But what was it like shooting there in
I
the
think
channel?
we frustrated a lot of people. We were very
Yeah.
loud. So we tried to be as respectful as possible, but it's making a movie is super challenging. And as you saw, we shot off a lot of blanks. And so we faced our challenges, but we had a lot of support from the city as well. So.
And then obviously Klein and Max, they've got a rich background as well in kind of police and military movies. So they knew what they were doing. But
Exactly.
how did you prepare them? Did you have to prepare them in any specific way? I mean, specifically, I don't want to give anything about just after the heist. There is a specific scene that is very kind of military oriented, and we see them carrying out these specific tactics. Was that very, very specifically prepared by anyone specifically, or was that kind of something that you just kind of prepared?
Yes, I had a good friend of mine. He's like family, a tactical advisor. His name's Scott Phillips, who's a former SEAL, and he trained them for a week or so, and in the choreography for the film. And so the team ran through all the different drills and close quarter combat stuff. So we really wanted, if we could do that as close to properly as we could, it would make shooting so much faster if they were really, everyone knew what to do beforehand. So we ran those for days and days.
Talking to Max and Klein as well, I was just speaking to Max, and he said that they weren't originally, I mean, they said that they've always wanted to play brothers in a film, but originally Max was going to be the police officer, is that right?
Right, the
And
FBI.
they kind of got in touch with each other behind your back, I think, and tried to kind of make sure that they could be brothers in this film. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true. It's a great story. I let my casting director know that they were friends. So I wanted them both to be leaked back to them that they were both being asked to be on the movie. And so I never imagined they would come back with that idea, but then I got the call saying, hey, they'd like to speak to you because they'd like you to talk to you about their idea of playing brothers. So then I had to get on this call and pretend like I wasn't going to say yes right away. And I was over the moon over it. It was a match made in heaven. And those are two amazing human beings. I love working with them.
Oh, they're fantastic. Yeah, they're fantastic. But I mean, I love the fact that I mean, you introduced in the film very differently. We see Claire with the baby, and then all of a sudden we see Max speaking to the rest of the ex-Marines, telling them this smutty joke. I love the way that we introduce them. We see them in very different places, but at the same time, you kind of take them down this dark rabbit hole, and they do crazy things that, especially Klein's character, wouldn't typically do, but because his brother gives him no other option, he does things that are just unforgivable. But at the same time, we can't help but empathize with Klein and with Max's character, which is,
it
makes you feel awful for empathizing with what they've done, but you can't help it. That must have been a really, especially in the script, when you're in the writing room, must have been a really complicated tightrope walk now to just get the right balance to make the audience feel so bad for feeling for them, but knowing exactly what they've done,
Well, I think you can relate. Most of us have had really dysfunctional relationships, friendships that may, obviously not killers, but friendships that were very complicated. And when you have that kind of history with someone, you give them a grace you probably wouldn't give anyone else. And I think that you nailed it. As Klein gets taken down a road much further darker road than he would have ever if it wasn't for this bond and this kind of holdover that Max's character has over his.
So at the same time, sorry, I was just going to say at the same time, it really tackles PTSD head on. Not just in Max's case, but also in Klein's character's case. Was it always your intention to kind of showcase and highlight the effects of PTSD and kind of raise awareness at the same time? Because I know that Max is very much an advocate for supporting and helping sufferers of PTSD.
Yeah, well, I'm a huge supporter of the military, and so it's trying to do anything like that in a respectful way. Our veterans have been through a lot. There's also a great deal of them that have come out on the other side in great shape, but to have empathy for those who are struggling through things that we couldn't imagine. So yeah, that was definitely trying to do that properly and respectfully. Yeah.
No, I think you did, and I think you did that. I mean, I think that's a lot of why a lot of the reason why we empathize with these characters, because you know that they've gone through so much before that kind of that helps you to empathize with, even despite everything that they're doing in the film. No.
That's awesome to hear. Thank you.
Uh-huh. Someone else who's awesome in the film is Julianne Joyner. She's fantastic. I'd never
Isn't
seen
she
her in a film before.
amazing?
I don't think I'd seen her before. She's fantastic.
She's amazing. This is her breakout performance. She's from Louisiana. I brought her in to, I'd seen some tape on her, and then I brought her in to read with Clayne, and we both fell in love with her, thought she was just perfect for it. And I think she crushed it. I think this is a breakout role for her. So I'm
Oh yeah,
looking
definitely.
forward to people trying to take her away from me. I made her promise that she'd do another film with me.
Huh.
So
No, she's great. I was reading that she did a lot of stunt work before. Was that how you found her as well, through stunt work that she'd done in previous films, or was it just because you'd seen a tape of her?
my coordinator, my stunt coordinator, Tyler Galpin, had worked with her in the stunt world, and he said she's a great actress. You should at least take a look at her tape. And we had her audition, and that's how I was introduced to her. Because there were a lot of people that we were being sent from LA to consider, and I met with her, and she nailed the dialect. She got it. She was so interesting that I was just so excited to have her on board.
Hmm. And I want to go back to, I mean, I said there that it really reminded me of the some of the great 80s action movies. Was there any specific, I mean, obviously I know you wanted to make it make something original, but was there any specific kind of touchstones that you kind of wanted to pay tribute to? Because I mean, maybe I'm reading between the lines, but there's one specific scene, I don't want to give too much away, where we can see Clayne hanging off the tube.
Right.
And that really reminded me of one specific film. I think you know exactly
Yeah.
which film I'm
Yeah.
talking
Yeah. I
about, because he
do.
was in a series related to
Yes.
that. Was
That
that a specific hat tip, or was that just by chance?
that wasn't. I mean, that was Max was supposed to be in the same position, and he ended up with, we had a shoulder injury and something else, and ended up not being able to, something he couldn't sit like that, which was incredibly painful for Clayne,
Right.
even with healthy shoulders. But no, that wasn't me intentionally lifting from Lethal Weapon. But
Yeah.
to say I'm not a giant Michael Mann Heat fan, that would be crazy.
Listen, thanks so much for your time. I wish you the best luck with the film. I'm sure it's going to go down really, really well. And I hope to speak to you again very, very soon about another movie.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
All
Look
right.
forward to
Take care of yourself. Nice to speak to you. Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Bye now.
Take care.
Cheers.
You ain't thick and straight.
I've never been more clear in my whole life.
Did I tell you you were gonna wish you killed me first?